Hi everyone, the holidays are almost here and I have another brand new craft project for you this year. It's a beginning woodworking project. Now, I'm going to teach this project as if you are a total beginner. So if you're more experienced, apologies, but I'm going to slow down for all my friends who are just not very confident and maybe just trying something new. So we're going to make this ornament. It's very easy to make. You will need a few tools. You'll need a miter saw, a table saw, a pin or brad nailer, either is fine, some wood glue, and then just stain and paint of your choice. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is run to Home Depot. Don't go to Lowe's. It's hard to find the stuff there for whatever reason. They move it all over the place, but go to Home Depot, just in the standard wood section, you'll find it there. A packet of lath. Now if you have wood at home and you want to rip it, I'll show you the dimensions of what we're using here. So you're going to get a packet of this. Wood prices have been fluctuating ever since the big C came out, but it's going to run you anywhere between $19 and $26 for a whole packet of lath. And you need about 2 pieces of lath per ornament. You'll have some left over. So if you want to make it in bulk, presents for your friends, trust me, they will love them. It's a real economical way to make a bunch of presents. Okay, so each piece of lath is about 1.5 inches wide. Okay, so for part of this project, we're going to use the lath as is, and for part of the project, we're going to rip it exactly in half, so that each piece would be about 3/4 of an inch. You know, by the time the blade runs through it, it will be a little less, and that's fine. Nothing's perfect here. We're just guesstimating. So when you first start, you're going to run your wood through your table saw, and you're going to get it exactly in half, as close as you can. Don't stress if it's off a little bit. And you're going to end up with a bunch of strips like this. You're going to take each strip to your miter saw and you're going to cut it to 8 inches. Each ornament is going to take 2 of these. Now I'm building in bulk, so bear with me, I'm gonna have a lot going on here. The second thing you need to do is, with your other pieces of lath that are intact this size, you're going to take this to your miter saw and you're gonna cut it at 45 degrees each side. This longest edge is going to be 8 inches. So I'm going to show you an easy way to do that so that everything's uniform. You're going to take the rest of your skinny pieces that you did not use for these, and you're going to again make 45-degree cuts every 4 inches. So you'll have a bunch of these that are 4 inches long. You'll need 4 of these per ornament. Next, we'll go back to the thicker piece of lath, and we have cuts here at 45 degrees. Everything is 45 degrees or a flat cut, and these are about 2 inches. So let me show you how to do this, and then we'll just assemble it. So it's like 14 pieces, I think, all in all. Really easy. Follow along. Okay, I'm going to pause here and go through the cut list one more time because I did change the size after doing a few snowflakes. So this remains the same. You need 4 of these, 8 inches long, 45-degree cuts. You need 4 of them, and you're going to measure your 8 inches by the long end. You'll need 2 8-inch straight cuts. You're still going to need 4 of these 45-degree cuts, 2 inches long each, and this was the change. I changed this from 4 inches down to 3 inches. So 45-degree cuts, 4 pieces at 45 degrees, 3 inches. I'm repeating myself. So when you're ready to build, this is exactly what your cut list will look like. Okay, let's go back. All right, so you can see I've set my saw here to 45 degrees. I like my saw in this direction, so I need it cut to this corner. I'm just gonna flip it over and cut to that corner to get my first 45-degree cut. To keep things safe, I'm only gonna demonstrate one cut, but here's the first piece. So now that I have the first piece cut, kind of like my pattern, I'm just bringing it over to the piece of wood and I'm penciling in 3 more pieces so that they're all exact. Or if you're building in bulk like I am, I ended up putting a stop on my miter saw. Does the same thing. Same thing with the 2-inch piece. I cut 1 and then I just put pencil lines along my board to get all 3. cut those up. So I've done my entire cut list, so you can see I have quite a few pieces here because I'm going to build a dozen of them. So now it's time to assemble them. So you take two large pieces and you have them facing opposite each other. At this point I didn't glue anything, I was just aligning them, trying to get them in the center as best I could, and then I added a little wood glue. Now I did end up grabbing a speed square to make sure that I was setting them down evenly. I tried to eyeball it, but I never get it quite right, so the speed square is kind of a lifesaver just to make sure everything is even. So I played with this just a bit just to make sure it was right, and then I grabbed a pin nailer just because they leave tiny little holes. They're not as noticeable, so I like that better, and just got that first little layer set. Then I grabbed one of the 8-inch pieces and I'm going to put that right across the middle. That will hold the basis of our star, and you can already see the layers that we're starting to build here. Again, grab your speed square, make sure it's even, and give it a little nail. Some of you might be asking what type of pin nailer I'm using. It's actually a very inexpensive one I got at Harbor Freight. I'm usually a DeWalt girl, but this one leaves the tiniest holes I've ever seen. I love it. So a little plug for them. So now I'm adding the next layer. I'm getting those little 2-inch pieces and I'm just resting them up against that long narrow piece I nailed down. So this is very easy to build. The trickiest part was just holding it in place until I could get them pinned down. So the wood glue will do most of the job of holding these together. The pin nailers just pretty much hold it in place until that glue can dry really solid. Okay, next we're just going to keep building the snowflake by putting those tiny little 3-inch pieces on. It just gives it a little more dimension. The one word of caution about these last little 3-inch pieces is those are from the wood you ripped down into 2 pieces, and sometimes one side can be a little skinnier than the other, so just make sure that they're lining up right. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So now we have one more piece to put on the back, and this is basically just so that you can hang it. So I'm going to drill a hole on one end so I can put a ribbon through it. But if you'd rather put a sawtooth on the back and just hang it directly on a wall or something, you can skip this step. I'm going to get out the speed square again just to make sure it's perfect. And I'm also not putting this last piece on evenly. I want it to overhang more on one side where I'm going to drill that hole so I can hang it. All right, there's the finished result. It's really pretty and it has a lot of dimension to it. The one thing I did wrong was I didn't paint or stain it first. So on my next ones, I went ahead and painted and stained because once it's all put together, it was difficult. I drilled a hole in the top and then I added some leather for hanging. Okay, now I'm going to show you how they hang. They're really pretty and multi-dimensional. I just think it adds a lot of texture to them. This was a holiday version, and then I just did a plain stain version as well, which is what I showed you up front. And here's how they look together. Thanks for following along. I hope you enjoyed this project. Enjoy!